Morning. It's a little gray outside, and it's cool. It's really cooled off. Otherwise, I'd be outside on the deck. But there was a really fantastic sunrise this morning. Really awesome. Just all that color, which I know is kind of a sign that it's going to rain. I think it is going to rain here today, but that's okay. I'm headed into 90-degree weather here tomorrow in St. Louis. I like to pay attention to what I become aware of when I first wake up in the morning. I don't have my life set up in a way where, like, the second I wake up, I have to get going. I have to get up and put my stuff together and brush my teeth and get dressed and get out the door. So I have time to just sort of meditate with my eyes open and look out the windows at things like a beautiful sunrise and open the window and stick my head out and feel the fresh air and maybe leave them open if it's really warm out. It's such a blessing. It's such a gift to not be in a rush when I first wake up. And I know a lot of you have that. Maybe you get a cup of coffee and you just sit, look out the window, or maybe meditate, maybe get on your yoga mat, I don't know. And what I felt this morning was, and I actually went outside and walked for a little bit, like 4:45, while that first light was starting to look so beautiful. And I realized that right now, I feel like I'm learning balance. I'm being shown balance. More of an ability to be soft. It's very easy for me to be rigid. If you know me, yeah, it sure is. It's easy for me to live a certain lifestyle and go to bed early and get up early and adhere to a strict diet if that's what I feel like my body needs. I gravitate very easily to just latching on to having beliefs and being pretty rigid about them. And there's so much in ancient literature and ancient wisdom about being like water. Bruce Lee, be like water. And flow. And there's a balance, I think, between discipline and using the tools that will help you. The different, for me, spiritual practice tools of meditation, yoga, the discipline, say, to get up early in the morning to have that time. So I'm not rushing off to work. To have that time to be with my body and stretch it out and get it moving. And to be with my heart and to be with nature a little bit. To be with the moment. I need that. I need a certain amount of conviction to have my life set up that way, to not stay up late so that I'm awake enough to get up when I want to get up, so I have that time. So I need that. But I also need to be able to be loose and fluid in the moment and really let my heart lead me, and not follow the same routine every single day the exact same way. That's an easy way to just develop an outside circumstance that you end up and outside life that you end up running through on autopilot if you're not careful, even with things like meditation and yoga. I also see that when it comes to balance, I tend to go one way or the other. I tend to be all up in my beliefs and in my practices, or I sort of can get into these phases where I just let it all go, and that feels wonderful to surrender and just be. But I can also go too far that way and lose the balance, because you surrender enough, none of that stuff really seems to matter anymore. And on the one hand it doesn't, but it does, because we're still operating in a certain construct here, and we still have lives, and we still all have jobs, even those of us that work from home and make money in non-traditional ways. We still have things to do. So there's still life to be lived, and many of us have, children at home and all that comes with their lives, and lunches and school and after school and soccer practice and Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, school dances, graduations. Balance. Finding balance. And for another thing that's easy for me is when I become aware that I'm out of balance, it's very easy for me to break out the whip and kind of beat myself up and judge myself about where I'm at. I don't do that as much anymore, to the extent I used to, thankfully. But I still can. And the last video I made was about radical forgiveness, and I'm not sure why I didn't talk about self-forgiveness, but at the bottom of it, if you watch that, hopefully you read at the bottom that the most important forgiveness of all, the most important grace we can give is to ourselves. And I'm learning, I'm grateful for the fact that when I come into that sweet present moment and I stay there long enough and I accept exactly where I'm at, no matter where I am on that balance scale or where I am with my body, with pain or anything, I'm feeling awesome, I'm feeling low, if I can accept it and be with it and allow it to be, and I stay there long enough and I get all my stuff out of the way, that present moment is going to be filled with love. And love is going to show me the perfection of where I'm at in that moment. So I don't have to have any regret about it. That's the epic, unimaginable beauty of life, of presence, is that when we become aware, when we become present, where everything's actually happening, where most of our energy is, and then when we bring our mental and emotional energy in alignment with our physical energy into the present moment, we tap into so much more, and we're connected to so much more, and that connection shows us at the same time, lovingly, like where we can improve, where we can grow, yet also the perfection about where we're at, and maybe that we're out of balance, or one way or the other. It's amazing. And that's what you get when you develop that relationship with the present moment. And it shows you, without judgment, where to go next. Sometimes only a little piece of it. I wish I could see more of the whole thing, but it would probably be overwhelming. But show you what's the next step. Where do I put my focus today? And I also can get out of balance with that and be very demanding and want to have a plan. Okay, I don't like exactly where my life is. It feels this or that. What's the plan? What do I do for the next 6 months, the next year? Instead of just, what can I do right now? What can I do today? And what I see about my life is that I spent my early adult life pouring myself out for others. I had a family, young family, and I was part of a fundamental Christian church that was very active, and we were on a mission. And I was always doing something. I was always giving, sharing, teaching, learning, being taught. But I gotta say, there's a flow to that, of constantly giving. And those of you that are teachers and nurses, and you know that how great you feel when you step into your power and you're just giving. And yet I know for me, I didn't have enough balance in that, of me time, and to nurture me, and even though I was doing all that, I often was not in the present moment. And that wore on me and wore me out eventually, as did some of the beliefs that I was carrying around that began to feel very heavy. For me. I know that they don't for some other people. And my body kind of fell apart. My faith changed, my body sort of fell apart, and marriage ended, actually, too, all at the same time. And I began this inner journey of healing and of awareness that's been years and years in the making. Funny thing, though, about pain is it does contract us into survivalist thinking, and it becomes all about us. The beauty of that, though, is that when you've poured yourself out for so long, it can be very beneficial to spend lots and lots of time alone, reading and meditating, praying, doing things to fill your cup back up and to figure out what's really going on with you. And I see now that the value of having more balance, where instead of just filling myself up like a bottle and putting a cap on it, that I want to share that. I want to spend more of my time with people and more of my time giving to people. And it would be very easy for me to sort of beat myself up about the fact that I haven't done that as much. I mean, not compared to before. I mean, I've been writing, and I'm always someone that's talking and sharing my life with even just the blue-collar guys I've worked with in different jobs. And there's been a certain level of constant sharing, and I'm these days I have several text conversations that are always going on, and asking questions, answering questions, spiritual conversation. So it's not been a hermit life, but it's been a lot of time in silence and a lot of time alone. But I see that for most people, they don't have enough of that time. And I can see the beauty of that I've had so much of that time. I have so much to share about that time and about how that can help. And so I can take all that I know about that and share it. So I'm finding balance and maybe helping someone else find balance, and that is what ends up happening. Right? I'm helping someone else find balance, and the fact that they're needing help finding balance is helping me find balance. It's perfect. It's perfect. I hope that was helpful in some way for you. Have a great Saturday, wherever you are. And I'll talk to you on the other side of my trip, probably. Ciao for now.